being here. It's great, it is. I like coming, you know, it's brilliant.
It's like another home. Well, the first time I went, I didn't know nothing about football. Didn't know how to play a ball, kick a ball, anything. And fans just doing car-minded down my side when we first moved round here. And went to a reserve game the first time. And that's when I got interested in football. I've never been in the ground before. It's a different atmosphere, because it was dead quiet and about 10,000 people just sitting on the seats, that's all, clapping every time they made a good move, and jumping when they scored. But it's too boring in the seats.
And here's Bond, who equalises.
The atmosphere is brilliant, you know, it's really lively, it is. You know, you get people with cheering on scarves, banners, and the atmosphere is great.
Bond trying an imaginative turn, and Baker, yes!
I like playing football, I like watching football, you know, so, like, I come here, like, you know, like, a lot of second week, I've been to Old Trafford to watch Manchester United a few games. I mean, just like football, I go anywhere to watch football, really.
Arms outside him, Donaghy prepared, though, to float it in towards Tommy Booth. Oh, and what a goal by Chewett! What a goal! Peter Swale smiling there, the Manchester City chairman. And Manchester City have won it.
My reasons for really supporting United were Dennis Law, because Dennis Law was, for us, Manchester United. And as a result of that, I started to support United. I think I came in early, well, middle 60s, around about that time, when we had the sort of Dennis Law, Bobby Charlton, later on George Best, you know, the greats of football.
I first came when I was about 9 or 10. My older brother brought me along. I can't remember the game, but I know I was in this part of the ground, and again I was really taken aback by the sheer size and the spectacle of it all.
Absolutely electric, right the way through.
The adrenaline starts flowing, you know, it starts as it gets to
There's a kind of buzz of anticipation just before the match starts, and once it actually gets going, I mean, especially in the standing area here, because everybody's so close to there, you can sort of feel it for everybody. It's like, it's just like a great big feeling. You're all one, not, you know, separate people stood here.
The goal! Right side! That's incredible! Well, they hurriedly put the red and white ribbons on that marvellous old cup. And it goes back to Old Trafford.
I remember one incident which took place. Being a United fan, obviously it was a great pleasure to be here. A goal was scored, and everybody jumped up. I mean, everybody who supported United anyway. I think even the pillars were moving. And I, you know, quite obviously being a United fan, I really went up in the air. And these two chaps who were sort of in front of me literally turned round while all this cheering was going on and looked at me and said, "What are you cheering for?" So I said, "Because a goal's been scored." But Packies are not allowed to cheer. And that really upset me. And I think, you know, I mean, I support Manchester United like anybody else does, and I feel really annoyed when they lose. I mean, I feel for them. But that upset me because I suddenly didn't feel part and parcel of Old Trafford.
It was in a derby once, and United fans, you know, like, they just started singing, "I would rather be a Packie and a Blue." You know, just, I don't know if it was meant for a joke or it was a song, you know, how they made it up.
Why do you think they did that?
I don't know, really.
Well, where were you? Were you in the middle of the fans? Where were you?
I was, like, just middle of the fans, yeah, where the halfway line is. Just standing there, I was in the middle.
Of the people singing?
Singing, yeah. But I was around the City fans. But, you know, you could hear it around the ground, like, you know, United fans singing, you know, "I'd rather be a Packie and a Blue," like.
I go about my life knowing that I will get, you know, come up against racial remarks and maybe people who are not too keen on me because of my colour, but then that's really, I'm living it, so I've got to live with that. I don't think I will ever, feel as though I do fit in, because I know that as soon as people look at me, I mean, they are going to see my colours different to theirs. I mean, I'm sure if someone was describing me to somebody else, they'd use my colour as a way of pointing me out. I definitely feel more Sikh than I do British.
Say somebody was to ask you, Guru, how would you describe yourself? What would you say to them?
I would tell them I'm a Sikh, my name, and who I am, and describe myself in that way. That's why.
But you don't wear a turban.
No, but I mean, like, if you don't wear a turban, I mean, there's people who wear turbans, but it's the belief. I mean, he might wear a turban and think he's a proper Sikh. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that. You know what I mean? Like, people who wear 5Ks and wear a turban and wear a bracelet, the kara, what we call it, and a gatra and such, and you know, doesn't mean that they're a proper Sikh.
The Sikh faith is more in, how do you put it, there are certain rules such as, you know, not to smoke and not to eat beef, but I personally think that to be close to God in any type of religion is really the way you live your life, and not really whether you wear a turban or whether you don't.
Did you ever wear a turban?
I never wore a turban, but I used to have, you know, my hair tied up into like a juri, what we call it, you know. And I used to go to school, and when we used to go swimming, you know, and we used to have to open our head and put a swimming hat on. And people used to laugh, you know, and all this. So one day I just came home to my parents and says, you know, I want to have a haircut. But at first my parents was really annoyed about that, you know, with my father wearing a turban like. And so, you know, we used to play football and your hair used to open, you know, and people used to laugh at you and things like this. And at times you used to tie it up, you know, but you couldn't do it always, that type of thing. So I just had a haircut. I was about 12 years of age.
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਾਰ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਤਨਾਸਰੀ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਚੌਥਾ.
Being a United supporter is not what race or what colour or what type of religion you have. I think it's, you know, coming along to support the team, and that's what it is. I mean, like, there's times in the stands where you'll talk to people you've never seen them before in your life, and that's you know, the comradeship of just coming to the match and they're United supporters and you're United supporters.
You get it looks as if to say, what the heck are you doing here? As if you're out of space. And I think it's worse if you wear a turban, because you stand out. Well, obviously you stand out. And people give you the look, as if to say, look, you don't belong here.
Why did you start wearing a turban then?
I started to wear my turban because I've always been so proud of my religion and my culture. And nobody can take that away from me. But when I used to talk about my religion, people used to point out to me, and if I could just say briefly that it's to wear a turban is not just, you know, it's not just a Sikh. You don't have to wear a turban, but many people identify that as being the essential. And people used to say, well, look, if you're a Sikh, why don't you wear your turban? And I felt that it was time that I wanted to wear my turban, but my circumstances were a lot different from other people who used to get a haircut.
Would you come here wearing your turban and stand in the Stratford end?
I wouldn't stand in the Stratford end, no, I'll be honest with you. when I come again, and I was here not so long ago, I'd be in the seats
Because?
because of the harassment that the individual receives. You see, it's very embarrassing to stand here and then some lunatic, and they are lunatics, to throw something from the top there, or just to push or something, and your turban comes off, and everybody's have a laugh on your expense. I can't afford to do that.
I'll come here always, you know what I mean? I'll always come here, like, an incident, like, we was walking home from the match, just got out the gates, and some fans just turned around and, you know, was like shouting, you know, one of my friends had a turban on, and started shouting, you know, you get packies here coming with turbans on and all that, and things like that, but it does, you know, sometimes you think to yourself, you know, you're a supporter and you go there and you get all this, you know, but I don't worry about it, you know.
It doesn't spoil the game for you?
No, it doesn't spoil the game for me at all, no.
Don't you ever feel you'd rather watch football on the telly in the comfort of your own home?
No, but when you watch on telly, it's two different things, really. I mean, like television, you know, they don't show, you know, some parts of the game, you know, they always seem to miss some parts of it, or the clips. You know, like sometimes you see a good goal, and you don't really see it, you know, quite clear. But what you see, you know, it's a different thing with atmosphere being there and people cheering on, and it's two different things, really.
Moses, Strachan, lovely play. Can Moses finish it off? Number 4!
People who shout names at coloured people, you know, stuff like nigger and this, that and the other, you know, that I just stop all of a sudden and think, you know, what are they shouting about for? Because we've got coloured players on our own side, Manchester United, and I don't know why they shout names like that, and it just, you know, stops the enjoyment altogether.
I think any player gets stick for, you know, if they do something wrong, or if the opposing fans don't really like what they're doing. I think with the coloured players, it's just really the skin colour that's the obvious thing to pick on.
Do you feel self-conscious at the time?
I feel, yeah, slightly self-conscious.
It's very disheartening for you to be stood against your own supporters. I mean, you accept that of their position, but your own supporters, you know, making remarks like, you know, you're black so-and-so, you know, so on. You know, what did you go and do that for? I mean, if they want to make a remark, if a player make a mistake, you actually say to them, you use the name or whatever, but to use the word black in that sense means to me that they don't accept those players. Why shouldn't those players be allowed to make the mistakes? I mean, other players are allowed to make mistakes, and that is upsetting. You stood there and you have to listen to that.
Being at the Good Valley is it's a more stronger feeling, because you do feel part and parcel of, you know, the whole place itself.
Do you not have that feeling in Old Trafford, then?
Yes, I do, yeah, but I think I feel it more here.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned when we were speaking at Old Trafford, there are times when, you know, certain players on the field will get racial abuse and that tends to make you feel, you know, a minority, so to speak, now and then. But while here, I mean, everybody, you know, has come really for one reason, that is to pray, and there'll be nothing like that.
There are differences, obviously, and there are in every community, and we're no different than that. Internal differences, but usually nobody says to anybody else, look, you're not part and parcel of this family. Unfortunately, I have to admit that I too feel better part of this family than I do at Old Trafford, because when an incident takes place and people start saying, well, they don't really belong here, or they question our existence, they question the fact that, you know, why are we there? But here, nobody is able to do that, because we are all one.
After the 7 minutes finished, we come downstairs. They make food here, you know, like every Sundays, and we share it, like, and we all sit here and have a meal and all this, and help out. Anybody can go there. You have to be a Sikh. I mean, it's like a church. I mean, anybody can go there. But you can meet friends and like someone you don't see for like over a week, and you go there and you talk to him, and asking things, oh, did you watch this match and things like that.
I don't know how it affects other people, but I feel when I talk about my culture, my religion, I mean, it's something special. It's something that, I don't know, English people, when you do talk to them about it, if they're prepared to listen, they find it very interesting, and I think that's something which we should hold on to, because it is something special to us. I think I will be staying here and, you know, raising a family here, and I think there's going to be a lot of changes that will be coming, say, in 20 years from now. I think certain parts of the culture we will lose, but it is very important to hold on to the essentials of it.
That's against PSV Eindhoven in the UEFA Cup. And, the match went into extra time, and I was sat there halfway off my seat, and that's going Strachan scoring from the penalty spot, and that was the only goal, and we won 1-0.
Looking at all the pictures on the back wall, I don't see a single Asian face anywhere. I mean, I can see black players. Do you think Asians can play football?
There's coloured people in the game, black people and coloured people, and so any coloured lads who have got potential to play, they'd probably be influenced, saying that, look, there's coloured people playing in the Football League, and so why shouldn't I? But there's not many Asian people. In fact, I don't even know if there is an Asian person playing in any football division, actually.
I think to go into something like football, it's really going against traditions in Asian families. I mean, I remember when I was growing up and my mum was saying to me that, you know, you want to be something like a doctor or a solicitor or something like that. I think they don't tend to really channel their natural talents. They don't want to go into something really unstable like football or acting or things like that.
I mean, a lot of parents do think that, you know, say, you know, playing football and all this, you know, but it's not a job. I mean, like, say for the first 2 years, I mean, it's like apprenticeship, innit? And I mean, you've got to play football and you train and all this, and there might come to a time where you might not succeed in. And that's why I think a lot of Asian families parents don't agree with that. So.
Well, would you be willing to take that chance?
Yeah, I would be willing to take that chance, yeah.
I just like, well, I don't like any other sport. It's one of the best things in life. Didn't really actually start playing till I come round here. You know, playing with the lads and that. Got a few friends around there and started playing, kicking a ball in the streets and that. And that's when I started playing.
I think it's more enjoyable actually playing it. You get a lot of satisfaction out of playing it, especially if you have a good game. I mean, if you don't play too well, and it's not so good, but I think playing it's more enjoyable than watching it, yeah.
A lot of people think that Asians are completely inept at football. How would you react to that statement?
Well, I think they've only got to go and look at schools nowadays and you'll see a lot of Asian people playing football.
People know Indian and Asian Pakistanis more to play cricket and play football. So that's why people say that. But I mean, I know a lot of Asians, you know, you've got football teams, Sunday League, you know, and they go out there and play football. I think it'll be a time, you know, in the next 4 to 5 years, you know, there'll be a few Asian people who will be playing football and all.
And how will you feel about that?
I think it's good. I mean, it's nice to see, you know, anyone, you know, like Asian to play football, you know, like Manchester City or for Manchester United, or even for the lower team.
You would feel proud to a certain extent, but it wouldn't just be the fact that he was an Asian player. I mean, you'd have to play well, for, you know, to earn some type of respect from the fans who go there.
Where's all the reds gone?
Really, I played terrible. If you'd have played any good, then United would have lost about 3-0.
That was City at the second best.
But City played just as terrible as United. Nothing in attack.
Know what the excuse is? There's no Robson!
Who's the best player then?
Kinsey played the best, yeah.
Who did play more?
I think he was the best player there.
Why? Why?
Because, I mean, he was up and down on that wing, creating chances for City. I think he played well.
Was there?
And Kai Wilson.
Supposing an England side with Brian Robson and all your favourite Manchester United teams happened to be playing India in Mexico in the World Cup final, who would you like to win?
I suppose I would be split slightly, but I'd have to go for the England side because they're the players who I watch week in, week out, who I've watched for a full season. They're the players who you go through with them when they're going through the good spells and when they're not doing so well. So really, I suppose I'd go for the England side because that's the players who you feel for. You go to watch week in, week out.
Supposing they got beaten and India won, how would you feel then?
I don't think I'd feel too badly about it. I mean, you'd feel for the players, but I don't think I'd be that upset.
How would you describe yourself?
Well, I'll say I'm Indian.
Were you born in India?
I was born in England.
Then why would you say you were Indian?
It's because I'm a different colour.
But can't an Asian be British, don't you think?
They can be British citizens, but they can't be English.
What's the difference?
It's a lot of difference. You can, well, even if I was born in England, I can go up to a white person and say, I'm English, and he won't believe me.
So how would you describe yourself to someone?
Really, an Indian living in Britain, because I feel Indian.
Why is that? I mean, were you born in Britain?
Yes, I was born in Britain.
So why are you an Indian?
Well, it's because of my heritage. I mean, I know that when people look at me, they ain't going to look at me as a British person.
I look forward to the day, I don't know whether I'll see that in my lifetime, is when I can walk down the road and people will say, he is British. Without actually saying that I'm British and then walking away and saying, oh, well, I mean, he's a Paki, isn't he? Or whatever the phrase happens to be these days. We have our own identity, which we want to preserve. We want to be known as Sikhs and identify with the Sikh culture. We also want to be part of the mainstream of society, which can be done, and I'm sure other minority groups are able to do that.
Especially for people such as myself who've been born in England and brought up in England. I think we put just as much into the country, as the British people who live here themselves.
What would you say to someone who wants you to get out of Britain now?
Really, I would look at it as that's their opinion and I have my opinion. I don't think you can argue it all day, but I would still stick to my principles of, thinking that if I was born here, and I think there's a lot of other coloured and Asian people who put, a lot of work into the country, and I don't think anybody has the right to throw them out.
What are you? How would you describe yourself?
Born and bred in Manchester. And a United supporter all my life.
Viva!